G'day and welcome to another big edition of the Ballarat Football Netball League Senior Footy Show. Thanks to our friends at McDonald's. I'm joined by Tara Murray from the Star Weekly. We're gearing up for our first week of finals.
We are, and it's looking to be a cracker. As someone who covers the Eastern teams, I'm pretty excited by the blockbuster on Sunday, but we've got a couple of big matches before that.
And how good is it from an Eastern perspective? We do have two games over at Darley, Saturday and Sunday, and hopefully it just means that we're going to see the crowds flock over in their thousands.
It is, and I think originally they had scheduled the one, and Melton was obviously being the highest Eastern team to get a home final, was going to get the final at Darley Park, but I think it made all sense to have Darley versus Bacchus Marsh at Darley Park. You're going to get a lot bigger crowd, you're going to get a really cracking game. We saw them play at Darley Park last year in a qualifying final, and then they also played the grand final up in Ballarat. So look, it makes sense to have the two finals at Darley Park, and it will be interesting to see how they play out.
The qualifying final, we're going to see two great rivals go head to head, and this is East Point and North Ballarat City. The Kangaroos come in this game on the back of a tough loss to Darley, while North Ballarat City, I think they would have just that would have been quite surprised. What happened on the weekend? They had the week off, and all of a sudden they find themselves in a qualifying final with a few teams falling over around them. It
is, and obviously you mentioned East Point. They had not much to play for in that final round. They did rest a few players against Darley, who was looking for a final spot. Not a spot, just their position that had already qualified. And look, both of these sides before that have been in some really good form. North Ballarat City's won their last five, including beating Bacchus Marsh, Darley and Lake Wendouree. So they've beat 4th, 5th and 6th in that 5-game period, where East Point, they lost to Darley, but other than that, they won 6 before that. So they've had a really good season, and East Point's won both of their matches against North Ballarat City during this year. So East Point will, despite that final round loss, will take a lot of confidence into it.
And they, as you highlighted, East Point do have the points over the City, but the two games they've played have been absolute crackers. They've gone down into the final term, and the Kangaroos have sort of just kicked away late in the last quarter. There'd been nothing sort of separating the sides at both occasions. 3/4 time, they're sort of quite parallel. So I think it's why this game, if we can get a third one like that, it'll have the crowd really getting excited. It is, and the one thing we've seen, East Point has been clearly the best side all season.
They have. We've had not much between 2nd and 8th, and North Ballarat has been in that one. I think they've been 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th every week.
They've struck form at the right time too.
Exactly, they've struck form at the right time, and all those positions have sort of changed after they started really well, had a down patch in the middle of the year, and then stepped back late in the season. So it'll be quite interesting. I think East Point will be too strong. They've sort of shown that they have got that little bit extra than North Ballarat come that final term, and I think they'll have it again.
I'm with you on that one. I think East Point will be a touch too strong, but I'll be interested to see the impact of Will Young coming back into the team, who's had a hamstring injury. If he comes back in the team, which I no doubt he will, then he'll add a little bit more structure and dynamics to the City lineup, and pitting him up against Sam Dodson is going to be fantastic.
It is, and obviously you want to see the key forwards out there kicking goals, and that if he is out there and fully fit, that will be a massive boost for North Ballarat City.
But we'll see wet conditions though in the lead up to and on and off over the course of the weekend. So. No, that's generally not ideal for the tall forwards.
And look, and that could change how the game sort of plays out as well. You look which side can handle those conditions better. Obviously, wet, you possibly may have wind as well, which sort of has impacted quite a few games this year. Could add to another element to what should be a cracker of a game.
Let's talk about another cracking contest. We've got Melton and Lake Wendouree. The Bloods are looking for 8 in a row, and Lake Wendouree, well, they lost on the weekend, but their finals were all a bit secured.
It is, and it's quite interesting looking at this. You've got Melton that hasn't played finals for a number of years, enters the finals as the form team of the competition, looking for their 8th win in a row. So it's quite remarkable what they've done this year. They've knocked off sides they probably haven't knocked off for a number of years. I know Sunbury Kangaroos, I think they hadn't knocked them off since a grand final in the early 2000s, which had been basically a massive bogey team for them. They were able to do that, and you look, they knocked off Bacchus Marsh this week, and Bacchus Marsh was playing for 2nd, and in the end Melton sort of done that to secure the final at Darley Park. You look for both of these sides. Lakers have been a little bit patchy. Obviously they lost to Sunbury Lions. Sunbury Lions lost to Melton the week before, but how much you take out of that game you don't know, because they had nothing to play for. And the one thing that could play a part in this is finals experience. You've had Lakers has been in finals the last few years, probably haven't had the results they were after. They probably could have quite possibly been in the last 2 grand finals, having been up that top 2-3. Now you've got Melton that hasn't played finals. Most of their group, as you you said earlier in the week, that they played with 25 player points on the weekend, which tells you that most, if not all, of their players have come through Melton, and Melton not playing finals for so long. It's possibly only junior finals and that they've sort of played. So I think they'll be relying a lot on Matt Denham and Ben Archer to really help them this week, to give that little bit of experience, and that could play a part in this game.
Your tip for this one?
Look, I'm going to tip Melton. Melton is the form team of the competition. They've taken it against everyone. I think they may have beaten everyone just about. So they've taken everything before them. They've shown what they can do, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. Yeah,
I'm going to jump on Melton as well. I love what I saw of them over the weekend. I think they're absolutely exceptional, and they've certainly got a lot of pace going through that midfield. And I love the efforts of some of their key forwards like KB and Orr in the forward line, who good, strong, tall marking targets, and they're very mobile as well. So I love how they go about things, and of course Ben Archer is absolutely exceptional. And the game that I think that many of us had predicted we were going to see in the final game of the year, but it's happening now. It is Darley and Bacchus Marsh.
This was my pre-season prediction for a grand final after what both teams did in the off-season, but now we're seeing them in an elimination final. They played each other last year, 12 months ago, the exact same week in a qualifying final.
Yep.
Now they're in elimination, no second chances this time. And speaking with Heath Scotland, he said, it doesn't get much better than this. You're playing your arch rival at Darley Park in a grand final. Not a grand final, in a final.
Yeah.
So grand final is obviously tops that, but you're playing that, and it'll be quite interesting. You got Devils will enter the match in plenty of confidence. They knocked off East Point, where Bacchus Marsh lost to Melton, so they've sort of played a couple of the form teams of the competition, had contrasting form. Both teams have been a little bit up and down this season. You look, Bacchus Marsh dropped a few. They haven't been able to beat Darley this year. They lost to Darley twice in the finals last year as well.
Yeah.
So Darley's had the wood over them, and it'll be interesting whether there's player changes to come back in. The Devils will be sweating on the fitness of Jake Edwards and Scotland, who both ended up with niggles after their previous game. They probably will welcome back Dylan Reid, though, which is a massive for the ruck. If you can put him in the ruck against Daniel Burton, that's a massive boost there. Reid played his first game back in the reserves on the weekend, so if they get him back, that's a massive boost. How it goes, this is going to be interesting. This one's a hard one to tip.
Exactly, yeah.
So I expected both of these teams to finish higher than they did, and I saw both of them play Sunbury Lions recently. They both played really good football against Sunbury Lions, so it's going to be a thriller.
If you had to pick a tip?
Bacchus Marsh, but not with any conviction.
Yeah, I think you sort of sway me to sort of go for Darley just purely on Dylan Reid. The matchup with him and Dan Burton is going to be fantastic. I watched Bacchus Marsh on the weekend. I don't know how many more they've got to come back in. But saying that, they did play exceptionally well against the Melton side that were really, really classy on the day. So it's going to be a real good toss of the coin. But yeah, I'm going to go Darley, I think, just to see how things go. And if you're down at the grounds on Saturday and Sunday, make sure you listen to 97.9 FM for the big senior games, and then we'll have a few. We'll have 98.5 will also be present on the day as well, which is fantastic. Good to have the radio coverage down there on the day.
Yes, definitely.